just start. Just start from somewhere. Maybe put all your ideas in the bowl and shake it, shake it, and then just pick out one. All right, let's do that.
This week, Nana Boytran is joining me in the podcast session today. Who is Nana? Nana helps creative studios and founders build the structure behind their ambition, especially in a time where AI is reshaping how creative work is made, sold, and valued. Nana's methodology is to tackle the challenges from top down in order to grow the business inside out. She has a background in creative production and project leadership across animation, commercials, immersive media, exhibitions, digital content, and cultural experiences. She has led multidisciplinary projects from concept to the delivery. Managing budgets from $10K to $10 million, and working with global brands including Unilever, Philips, Amazon, Prime, and Lucasfilm. Subscribe to this channel, like this video for more videos like this. Welcome, Nana. It's so lovely to have you in the Nonlinear Career Show, and I'm excited for other people to hear your journey and your story and what you're building. My first question is, who is Nana?
Thank you for having me on your show. It's actually, this is my first time ever doing this. I'm Nana. It's a very unusual name for Vietnamese. That's where I original from. But I have been spending my last 24 most of those years, I excel my management skills to produce media products from animation to visual effects and commercials. And yeah, the most one part of my journey, I was moving over to retail. I was running my own business for 6 years in a concept store. Basically, we offer, unique small range design from top to toe for the expat community in Singapore at that time. And then the most recent years that I've been working with CEO, top management team to challenge them and support them to turn a complex project into, clear directions and steps and moving forward to meet the deadline. So throughout that, I've been trying to balance between career and being a mother of 2 teenager daughters. That's a bit about me.
I'm really honored that I'm the first person that you're going to be featured on your podcast. And then that will lead me to my next question about how your career path started.
After high school, I went to the trading school, trading college, where they supposed to teach me how international trading from Vietnam to the regions and to the world. And of course, in the early 2000s, the Vietnamese economy was still redefine what is. So they didn't know what to teach at that time, to be honest. They're still trying to figure it out. And I felt that it was kind of wasting of my time. So I dropped out of school and I went to find a job. And I was starting working odd jobs and just to pay bills. And then after 2 years, I slowly figured out that I carry very strong artistic part in me. And as I cannot run away because my parents are artists and in the fine art. So I said, but I don't want to become an artist because I'm not good enough. But then I said, okay, I want to make money. So I want to, a little bit of figuring out. So I said, okay, I want to go back to school to use my artist sense, apply to the practical study, and to make money. And that's where I started filmmaking. But during my study in Singapore, I got the opportunity to work in animation studio. And from there, I learned how the whole process and how to manage to produce an animation series or a short or an episode. And then I started to learn how to talk to artists because or designers because each artists or designers, they have different character, different background, and different culture too. So that's keep me evolving and developing my skill set. 6 years after that, when I turned 30, I was still in animation and in visual effects. That's similar work that I did. And then my mother passed away suddenly. So that triggered me the fact that time is the most sacred to everybody. That's once you spend, you never gain it back. So I was kind of like in my panic mode. I don't know how much time do I have left. So what should I do now? I want to build something. So I suddenly stopped and asked the question, what and why? What I wanted to do in my life and why I wanted to do it. So I said, okay, let's just try something. And somehow, the universe told me that guide me in the path that nobody wanted to hire me at that time. Even I had really solid, good experience and network and everything. And then I just said, okay, nobody give me job. I will give my own a job. So I design and produce home furnishing. And then I team up with my friend at that time and as a business partner. So we started the retail career. So that lasts for 6 years. Um, and I learned so much, of course, trial and errors along the way. And then I moved to the Netherlands 9 years ago. And my career just like, okay, let's go back to work for people. And still, after close to 2 years, the universe decided for me that no, Nana, it's time for you to do your own thing again. Because somehow you are not able to fit in a system. So that's how my career started in moving from one to the other. And sometimes people say, oh, yeah, but you have a choice to just stay in, right? I say, sometimes you don't. Sometimes the force just gives you other opportunities, and that's how you have to choose. You choose to stay in the same who you were, or you choose to move forward and define who you are. And yeah, that's my story, how my career path started.
That's really powerful. I love that you were very sensitive to the time and what your environment was telling you at that point, because there are a lot of us that are in situations and we don't even know when to move or when to take action. And I love that about your journey. You mentioned having to do different things from retailing to working. So, what was the hardest part about that transition from working for people to building something of your own?
The hardest part is that you have to figure it out on your own. There's no playbook that can give you all the answers. Of course, there's certain guidelines and steps and things out there, but because of the combination of character of the person and the environment and the time, those things have to mixing up together in order to have a successful business. So what I'm trying to say here is that everybody start from the bottom. You just have to start. And transitioning is that you just use what you have within yourself as an asset, and then you develop from there. So for me, transition from working for people to building a business for myself, that I relook at when I was working for people, what kind of system did they create to support people in the system as me part of it. And then of course for me to starting my own, I need to learn how to create similar system but in a smaller scale to start first, and then from there grow eventually. So of course there will be lots of trials and errors. For example, figuring out how finance work, cost versus pricing have to be correctly, and then the margin and recruiting, marketing, also like legal term and conditions and contracts and those kind of things. And then one thing that very tough, that you have to figure out what is you're good at, and then what you're not good at, then you find other people to fill that gap. So as an early entrepreneur, lots of people think that they can do everything on their own, or they can use AI nowadays to help. But if you don't have a solid understanding in that area, AI can't help you either. So you need a basic solid foundation so that you can grow.
And would you say that the best way to get the solid foundation is to try out things, like from your experience? How would someone watching this, like they want to get that solid foundation for themselves, how should they go about that? Are there maybe particular courses you took or certain mindsets that you had that helped?
So what I would say, when someone want to start a business, first of all, you have to do a lot of research in the area and choose your niche from, like, start small first and then be really solid in that small area you want to focus. And then slowly you're building up. It's just like just like doing Lego, building Lego. So you start with small bits by bits, and then you connect into the bigger piece, and then eventually become a castle or playing puzzle, right? So there are pieces scattered everywhere. So you're grouping, collecting all the pieces, grouping together, and then slowly those grouping become part of the picture, and then you combine, connect, then eventually you will have a full picture.
Okay, that's a beautiful illustration, and I'm sure it makes it easier for someone to understand. Another question I had as you were sharing was, so people in the creative industry, sometimes we are really driven by passion, but sometimes that passion can also lead to burnout. So what's your perspective about burnout, and how have you been able to manage it with the various things that you've built, projects that you've done? Okay, I'm really passionate about this, but how do I also take care of myself so that I can show up in the best creative way?
Yeah. That's a very good question. I think everybody, I guess 99% everybody has a period of time going through the burnout phase. So some people in the past, they say, oh, I have a midlife crisis. That is another form of saying that burning out, right? So then we looking at the cause of you burning out. What makes you burn out? So for creative, yes, we are very passionate about things. And because of that, we tend to have so many ideas and we want to do everything all, which is fair enough, right? However, our brain capacity is there's limitation there. So what works for me and many others, I have been trying to say that it's okay to be not perfect, but that's kind of like against the designer principle, right? So then say, okay, then you can be perfect, but then be 100% to one thing that you do. And then once you're done with that, you move on to the next one. And also to ask for help. Because artists, they somehow the way how they wind their mindset is like a chaos. It's a mess up there. That's something you can't deny it. But that's okay. You can ask other people who has very principle, very logical structure to help you to untangle that chaos in you. That's how you will not step into the burning zone. So that's my job nowadays, that to help people, especially business owner, to figure out, untangle what's happening in their head. So then they have a clear vision. So then their team, 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, understand what they want to go forward so that everyone will go on the same path and work toward that goal. We just have to figure out what make us burn out and then write it down, create a checklist. It's very easy to say than done, but I have seen people who follow certain methodology and help them to pass the burnout phase. It's just by being clear what on the table, what's the next steps, what's going on, then you are not going to face a burnout.
That's such a great answer, and I love that. So my next question is about success. You've done a lot of successful projects in the past, currently doing a lot of successful projects too. I especially loved researching and reading about the Horticulture Expo at Doha. That was super impressive. And so my question would be, how has your definition of success changed from the start of your career to what it is today? Because depending on your definition of success, it kind of either boxes you or liberates you. So, for example, maybe someone's success is, oh, I want to have this number of followers, and then you don't get the followers, and then it affects your work. So, my question is, because you've done a lot of successful projects from $10K to $10 million, like in budget, what has that definition, like how has it changed in the course of your career?
To be honest, I didn't really see that as a success.
Okay.
For me, successful as when I bring the project across the deadline and stay within the time frame and the budget. That is successful to me. And then anything else besides that, like get the awards, this and that, is just an extra. And actually, I don't pay attention to those much, to be honest, until people point out, oh, wow, that's cool. You work on that project. I said, oh, yeah. But man, it was hell of a job. And then, so that's just my point of view in terms of success. Right. And also success to a person at age 20, different than 30, 40, 50, 60. Right. So every 5, 7 to 10 years, your definition of success change. Younger self of me didn't know about that until I lived through up and down circles of life. Then for me now, success is earning enough to pay the bills, enjoy the company of people around me, be useful to the society, and create a safe space that directly impacted to me and to my loved ones. That's all As to me, that's a success.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's really good. And I feel that's also what has kept you grounded, because sometimes when all these things get to your head, you're not able to work hard for the next because you're so glued to the biggest achievement right now. So it's great to hear that. You know how the industry is changing with AI, and creatives sometimes like have this negative view towards AI and all the trends that is happening. My question would be, how should creatives be prepared for these shifts? Because with your years of experience, you've seen different shifts in industry like come and go, and this is another shift again. So how should creatives prepare for these shifts?
Yeah. So I think that's a very valid, and there has been a lot of fragmented fear and doubts among the creatives. But one thing is being proven by now, that when you go on internet right now, you can spot which one is original artwork and which one is AI generated. And also right now, anything you generated and then you just reposting it, the internet identify this as AI image, or they have the logo of this company, that company. So that's already show to people that it's okay, AI will be here with us, but then we have to identify what is real and what is not real, what is original and what is not original. What I say that creative, young or experienced right now, they just need to be bold, be original. That's the only way they will be able to win over the AI trend and to be the leader into the next wave of change. So for younger generation, just build, train your solid ground. It's about design principle, about color choices, about everything as a fundamental. Once you have that solid, will help you to grow, to reconnect, to connect with new things, and then to come up with new ideas. But without the strong, solid foundation, you won't be able to differentiate what is right and what is wrong. And the world right now with internet, there are so many unfiltered information that you don't know what is right and what is wrong, what is real and what is not. So it's okay. It's not easy, but in life, nothing was easy. Like for me, when I grew up, we didn't have internet. So we have to figure it out along the way, or just standing outside, look at the blue sky and, oh, what kind of color is that? How many shades in there? How to make that color? And then we just testing, right? Or yeah, different shade of green from the grass, and then the rice, the yellow, and those kind of things. Right now, people learning in different ways.
Thank you. That's really good advice. So, if anyone is scared about AI, just be bold to do your thing and create what you want to create. So, let's talk about what you're building now. Let's talk about Possible. Can you tell me about Possible, the idea behind it, and what problem that you wanted to solve with this?
Yeah. So Impossible is a framework to help businesses overcome their challenge in mindset, in the commercial values, and in operation system. It's basically because I work with artists and designers and studios over the years, I see one pattern that every studio is struggling with. That is the people, the talent, and the system. And nowadays, because the competition is so tough, so the commercial value is getting even tougher. So the talent here is not about the bad talent, but because of the system not support the talents to grow, to excel the best. They're being put into a box. So then end up everyone want to become a freelancer, want to become independent. So then they keep jumping, right? And then when they keep jumping, they constantly have to manage their finance, their sales, their marketing, their social networking in order to get the next project. So their creativity to create something great is suddenly now only 30% instead of 100% or 90%, right? So I want to fix that in the studio, so then have more bigger studio or medium-sized studio, create an environment for artists to be a superstar in different level. And then in order to create that environment, you need to start from the CEO. You need to start from the boss, from the owner, to go down. Because it doesn't make sense to fix at the bottom, but the boss up there has totally different view, different mission. Then things are already broken. So I don't have a lot of clients right now, but I do have clients that see the value in me, and I want to show them how I can help them because I'm quite direct, even though I'm Vietnamese, but I have somehow Dutch blood in there. That's why I live in the Netherlands. I'm so direct. And I don't want to waste anybody's time. So that's about impossible. And one more thing that when you are the owner, you are a CEO, you're very lonely. So every business owner needs a business buddy to brainstorming, to bounce back and forth to find the next direction, basically.
That's really helpful. I'm sure that anybody working with you would have immense value in their work and be able to focus on what truly matters, which is their creativity, and outsource the rest, just like we talked about, finding what you're good at and what you're not good at, and then outsourcing that. So
Yep.
that aligns well. And when you were building Possible, what part of your multi-passionate background did you lean into most? Or was it just everything, everything just came together beautifully in building Possible now?
Yeah, I had to go through a process to figure out while building this brand. And one thing that I lean on the most is to figure out the answer for myself, that what I am good at. So it took me some time, it's like 2 years to be precise, and then to really stop and look back. So earlier this year, I was really like stop working. I was not working at all. I did something completely different, which is renovating the house. And by doing so, it gave me time to reflect what I'm good at, questioning myself in the positive way. I mean, and then break it down. For example, this was the challenge. What would I do? What is my solution for this problem? And then for that solution, for that problem. So slowly, I see that I'm good at fixing a problem because I always have solutions. And if I don't have solution, I will search to find, to connect, to ask, to figure it out. So I can do that, use that to give people support. And that's how I'm doing.
Looking back at a career advice that you've gotten in the past, which one of them would you completely disagree with right now?
Get a full-time job and fit in the system. It's just very personal because not everyone is able to be an entrepreneur. That is one thing to accept that is very brutal out there. If you're not built for that, you will survive, but you will get beaten up a lot. So it's not for everyone, but also to be in the full-time job requires you different skill set too.
True.
And you will sacrifice certain things to fit in a system, and that's require certain character. People can accept that.
True.
And there's nothing right or wrong. But for me, I got a lot of advice that just find a full-time job, a government job, or even a low-paid job. It's just a job. I said, thank you very much. But yeah, I tried. Don't get me wrong, I tried, but it was not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of creatives can relate to that. Then the last question before we wrap up this session is, what advice would you give someone who has multiple passion but is afraid to start their own business because they feel they need to just pick one thing?
Just start. Just start from somewhere. Maybe put all your ideas in the bowl and shake it, and then just pick out one. All right, let's do that.
That's brilliant. Like it's actually saves the time for overthinking.
Precisely.
So do that. If you're finding it hard to pick one thing, just put your ideas in the bowl, shake it, and pick out one. Thank you so much, Nana. This was such an amazing conversation. If anyone wants to connect with Nana, I'm going to link her LinkedIn in the description and also her website if you want to work with Nana as a creative business or founder. Thank you so much, Nana, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Have a nice day.